And we're back now with Speaker of the House Jim Amon and Senate Minority Leader Pro Tem John McKinney. All right, gentlemen, where are we? Budget negotiations are going to continue through this weekend.
Can't you tell we're doing everything's fine? Everything's beautiful.
Well, yeah, I know. It's gotten suddenly quiet in here, very quiet, and it's almost surreal. So we got to get something going here again. Budget negotiations. Speaker Amon has been barking that we need to have the governor in there. And why has the governor not joined the negotiations?
Oh, listen, anytime the governor's had to be somewhere to make final decisions, she's been there. The tradition has always been, that's why the governor has a budget secretary, that the budget secretary engages in the negotiation. I don't know why Jimmy insists on having the governor in budget meetings. Whenever there's been a leadership meeting, the speaker's never shown up at the governor's office. So I think two can play that game. And you know that, Jimmy. You haven't shown up at any of our leadership meetings this year.
What we should do... What's that got to do with budget negotiations?
The reason
we don't negotiate budgets with
the reason why there's
meetings.
the reason why there's so much fighting going on, Al, is because the state is awash in money. We have more money than we know what to do with. And why they're increasing taxes is beyond me. And what he won't tell you, because he's embarrassed by it, is that the Democratic plan puts a 6% sales tax on clothing under $50. Every single person in the state of Connecticut, especially the poorest people in our state, are going to get socked by that regressive sales tax. We should do what we all agree upon. We should make more investments in education, which both parties agree in a bipartisan manner. Not as much as the governor offered. We can't afford that much. We should make investments in health care, like reimbursement rates for providers, which we all agree on, increasing access for people so they can get to see their primary care physician. The Republican budget alternative does that in the same amount as the Democrat budget. We can do that, not raise taxes on a single person, and even offer some tax relief. And we could do that and get out of here on time.
All right, Speaker Amon, I want to ask you about these taxes.
Yeah.
These taxes that he's mentioned here, the cigarette tax going up and removal of the exemption on clothing under $50. That's hurting people, the people who are getting a tax break under your plan.
It's simple math, and I know that the senator doesn't know simple math, but he likes to play with math numbers. But in reality here, first of all, I don't need to go to leadership meetings to have milk and cookies. We don't talk about anything in those meetings. They're a waste of time. I have much better things to do with my caucus to get things done in the state of Connecticut over the last 3 years. Not that I don't like seeing the governor. She's a fine woman. But nothing happens in those meetings, quite frankly. Budget negotiations are a different thing. Al, the truth of the story is the governor's been at one meeting in 3 years. But I'll tell you that one meeting I was with her 2 years ago in 2005 when we were at loggerheads over $100 million. She was effective. She's the governor's state. And within that that little time that we spent at the residence, we were able to get a budget in 2005 because she did step in. There's nothing wrong with Bob Gennaro. He's a great man and I think a very respected person. And but negotiations right now are at least some days good, some days bad. And I think we're going to probably get there in the final analysis. But
you think we're going to get there by Wednesday?
I'm very hopeful because I talked.
Do you think so, Senator?
I talked to Bob this morning, and I was very, very optimistic.
I think we'll reach a deal. We won't have time to put it all together in the implementers by midnight on Wednesday, but I do think the deal will be reached. I think the Democrats have gotten it out of their system with their big tax increase package. The governor vetoed it. Now they can be more realistic. Right. They'll come down from the 10.5%, which is unsustainable. Jimmy, you know 10.5% spending increase is unsustainable.
Did we already say we'll be flexible? She's at 7%. Why don't you talk about the 7% where she's at?
Look, I have been. For 3 months I've been saying 7% is almost too much.
$220 million apart from the governor. In the big scheme of things, that's not much, and that's why I think it's doable. But for the last thing, when he talks, all of a sudden, from going from diving on the sword for the wealthy, suddenly he's concerned about someone with us who's going to buy a pair of sneakers that they might have a couple pennies.
A lot of your colleagues in Fairfield County are concerned about the tax increase.
If you take the earned income tax, if you take the doubling of the property tax from $500,000, believe me, they're a lot better off when you do the math. Again, we have a much balanced plan. If they want to just do education, we support them on education, but there's a lot more need in the state of Connecticut besides education. There's health care needs. Our hospitals are in trouble.
Where are we on Medicaid reimbursement? Is that happening?
Right now, well, we're hoping. We have hospitals that are in trouble. There's $300 million on the table. If there's something we shouldn't be carving out is the stuff for health care. We've talked to the governor, say you want to, we work with her on the education side. We'll do our best for that. But in order to get these things done, our transportation bill, property tax, and more relief for our municipalities, that costs money. If Senator McKinney wants to be mediocre for the state of Connecticut, then fine. Then don't spend 7% like the governor is. Don't go to 10.5%. Stay at 0. And that's what they want to do. What we want to do is make sure we take care of the needs of the state of Connecticut, and that costs money. The majority party will step up for the citizens if we can explain to them that these are good investments for the state. That's what we need to do. Not what you've been hearing, this political rhetoric from the other side of the aisle about being petty because we're trying to pay our bills.
Look, we put a budget out, a Republican alternative budget.
No, with no public hearings.
Oh, that's
No public hearing.
Stop
Didn't
it.
have one
Stop
public
it.
hearing.
You just had an ESER
Did you have
budget
a
you
public
passed without a.
hearing?
Did you have a public
You put
hearing
a
on the
budget,
ESER?
you put
No,
a
you
budget
didn't.
on the
Stop. Let me
table
finish.
after
Starting to
5
feel like
5
Jerry
weeks
Springer
ago.
again. I
There's
don't know
no
what's-
public
We put a Republican budget alternative out, Al. It made the same investments on health care. Jimmy, you know that's been a bipartisan
There's
issue.
no
We
health.
all
You don't
support.
have any investment
Stop it.
in
We
healthcare.
all support the
And by the
Medicaid
way,
reimbursement rates, and
the
you know
governor
it.
also has a guy
You
that
know
has
it.
a cigarette tax in there too.
You know that. But, Al,
What?
the great thing happened.
And this will be the last word on the budget. We got to move on to
Quinnipiac
something
went
else.
out and said, here's the 3 budgets, the governor's budget, the Democrats' budget, and the Republicans' budget. And overwhelmingly, the people of the state of Connecticcut supported the Republican
The
budget.
only thing when
That's
I
the
talked,
budget
when
we
I
ought
talked to
to
the
pass.
Quinnipiac poll guy, he had no idea, didn't have a public hearing. And by the way, they made up the revenue estimates.
No, we didn't, Jimmy.
Oh,
It's
my
right
Lord.
here from
All right,
your
okay.
guys.
Oh, yeah,
All right,
come on.
I got to ask you, one of the other big
Pathetic.
issues that everybody wanted to have something done on was energy reform.
Right.
What's going on with that?
Well, I understand there's a deal that's been struck. It's a long time coming. The Speaker had promised something in January. It's now June 1st. And finally, my understanding is the Speaker stepped up to the plate and got involved. And some of the fighting that was happening with his House chairman took him out of
So
the
you're
room, and
here
we got a
to
deal.
applaud his efforts at
I've-
striking
I've-
the deal.
I've been a supporter of the bill that was in the Senate. We had probably 35, 36 votes to pass that in
And
the
this
Senate.
is the bill that would do what?
My understanding is the deal is pretty much 99% of the Senate bill.
What would
Well,
we see?
Not necessarily. I guess you did.
Well, here we go with numbers
Well,
again.
it's all right.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Listen,
Close.
it's an ESER bill. You talked last night, it was 85% of the House bill. That doesn't matter. What matters is we get an energy bill that both chambers pass. We believe it's going to do that. We think it's fairness as far as utilities getting back in the business, but giving a level playing field also for other players. It has heavy on conservation, real savings to people that they can
Will
do
the
right away.
utility companies get back into power generation?
Well, if the bill goes forward as of right now, I would say yes. They'll have
Okay.
some say in
But
generation.
they should have to compete
There's no
along with
doubt,
everybody else. They
and-
shouldn't be handed anything.
And I think that's what you'll
Right.
be pleased to be voting
I
on.
would say, Al, and I'm going to vote for the bill, but the people should not think that once the bill passes and signed into law, all of a sudden
The
the
rates are
world's
gonna
going
go
to turn a
down,
lot
yeah.
better. It's going to take a long time. This is a long-term fix.
But it's important to do.
We have to do it.
All right, thank you both, Senator McKinney and Speaker Ammon. Thank
Thanks,
you both
Al.
for coming in and having this spirited discussion about things you feel passionately about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well,